Tuesday. Welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your Tuesday right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Very excited about this show. Big time show for you here. We get set for NFL week number 1 to kick off. We have a legend in the business stopping by.
CBS Sports Central Texas, KWBT HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Hood is CBS Sports Central Texas, changing sports radio.
Hello, and welcome back into another edition of Centex Primetime. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, here every day from 5 to 7 p.m. here on Affinity Sports Network Radio and CentexSportsNetwork.com as well. Folks, we got a lot of football to talk about. We'll get into some NFL later in hour number 2. We'll also get into some Central Texas high school football later in hour number 2. Here in hour number 1, we're going to talk a little bit of college football. The AP Top 25 has been rearranged a little bit. Some people fell out. Some moved up in the rankings. A lot of Texas Longhorn fans in this area that watch and listen to this show. Texas Longhorns have moved up in the rankings, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm here joined today with PJ Gaither, and later we'll have Rocky Miller come on here with us as well. PJ, what's going on?
Man, doing good today.
Yeah, man, just getting ready to talk about some of this football. We already know who one of the main teams we got to talk about that me and you have talked about on this show multiple times, and we kind of, I don't want to say we predicted this coming, but we kind of seen this coming, man. I mean, this Florida State team, they got to play last night, and an underwhelming performance to say the least about that. That's probably about the nicest way you could say that, with Florida State falling to Boston College last night, and in a game that was, like I said, pretty underwhelming, if I could say so. Neither team just looked. Boston College looked really good. I'll say that. I won't put that on both teams. Boston College looked good. They've got a new coaching regime there, and Bill O'Brien, the former New England Patriots coach, the former Houston Texans head coach, my football team, the former, I think he was with Alabama at one point as an offensive coordinator. So we know he can coach. We know what he's capable of doing, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, he had the Houston Texans looking pretty good as far as our offense goes whenever he was the head coach there. Now, he had some very questionable decision-making as far as a GM, but that's another story for another day. But they get the win over Florida State in Bill O'Brien's debut. They're 1-0, 28-13. They beat Florida State. Florida State drops to 0-2 after being projected to win the ACC and being a preseason top 10 team in the nation. DJU at quarterback goes 21 for 42, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 272 yards, 27.4 QBR. Here's something that was shocking. The Alabama transfer, Roydell Williams, 3 carries for 10 yards. Cam Davis, 3 carries for 11 yards. 21 total yards of rushing for the Florida State Seminoles. And then as you go to the other side, Boston College able to just really absolutely take the wheel away from Florida State running the ball all the way down to the end of the game. 263 rushing yards total on the game yesterday for the Boston College Eagles as they get the – I guess you got to call it an upset win because they were still ranked number 10, Florida State that is, but not much of an upset in my eyes. Boston College quarterback goes 10 for 16, 2 touchdowns as well, at 87 QBR. So, PJ, man, it's a lot we got to say about this game, but what do you think about what we saw last night from Florida State?
Well, we really just seen a Florida State team be dismantled all across the board. I mean, on both sides of the ball. The defense, Castellanos, the starting quarterback for Boston College, it's not that he just had a really good passing game. I mean, he went 10 for 16, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was mainly on the ground how they got a lot of their touchdowns and their yardage. 2 of their running backs, the starter, he had 85 rushing yards, and Ward had 77, and then the quarterback had 73 rushing yards. So when you got three, I mean, that's crazy. That's a crazy stat when you think about it. And you really don't have no choice but to lose the game. And then when you go over to the other side to Florida State, DJ Tuongule went 21 for 42, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And when you go look at the ground game, I mean, the top rusher only had 3 attempts for 11 yards.
Yeah, that's
so
unacceptable.
It's like a domino effect of the defense not playing good, the offense not being able to pass, not being able to run the ball, coaching, just being out-coached. Just as a whole, Florida State really just showed that they were very incompetent just throughout the entire team, and they're really going to have to start thinking about making some changes going into the rest of this season, because this is low-key, this is really unacceptable. Definitely to start out 0-2 after going undefeated last year like they did in the regular season. I really, man, I don't know. Like, right now, it's looking like Miami is the top team in Florida for sure, definitely after Florida just lost on Saturday. So Florida State got a lot of things that they need to really be thinking about. Me personally, I would have benched DJ probably in the third quarter.
Yeah, I agree.
Drop off that we've never really seen.
Yeah, legendary drop off.
This is worse than Jamarcus Russell. This is worse than Jamarcus Russell to me. And the only reason why I'm going that far, and it's really not even going too far, because Jamarcus Russell at LSU in college,
he was a dog.
He was a stud. He didn't drop off until he went. Yeah, he was a dog. He didn't drop off until he went into the league. I don't think we've seen a drop off like this. It's probably been a few, maybe, like it might have been a few. I would even say like Charlie Brewer.
Yeah, but he wasn't ranked as high as high as this dude was. This guy was the number one quarterback.
As high as this guy. Yeah, he was number one quarterback. We've never seen anybody this high. Now that I'm thinking of it, like I know it was. I think who was that? It was a quarterback that was at Mater Day just a few years ago. Ended up being a starting quarterback for Rice, I think, last season. Dude transferred to multiple schools.
So it's something about these California quarterbacks is what you're saying.
It's something about them, because I mean, DJ went to St. John Bosco, and I've always always had the notion that like Texas to me always had the better quarterbacks than any other state, and it's shown in the league. Yeah, it's shown in the league for sure for years now, even dating back to when Drew Brees was playing in the league. You know, so and I mean right now, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. And he's from White House, so you know I feel like Texas always have had the better quarterbacks. I'm not saying that California doesn't, but we've seen plenty of times where it's like a drop off. Sometimes you might hit with some of them, and sometimes it's probably a drop off. I don't really know what's going on with DJ. He's going to end up probably transferring. If he get benched this year, he's going to end up transferring. And even if he don't, I think he's still going to transfer out, because this not looking too good for him. Definitely with his stock going into the draft. He's not going to. He can easily go undrafted.
Oh, he's going undrafted. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's based off of what we're seeing right now. He's going undrafted, and he's got to find a way to try to turn this around. I don't know if he's got any eligibility left to try to transfer, but I'm with you, PJ. I don't see him. I don't see him being able to really make a comeback after this. This is going to be tough. If he's the starter next week, really, I would be shocked going into that. Folks, we're just getting kicked off here as we start the show talking about this Florida State meltdown. I want to bring in another one of the guests we have here regularly here on the show, Rocky Miller. Rocky, what's going on, man? Did you get to catch some of the game last night?
To be honest with you, no. But I did watch him the first week.
Yeah.
And it was clear to me that they were not who everybody thought they were.
Not at all.
I mean, to be honest with you, when you struggle with Georgia Tech the way that they did, come back this game against a BC team that you were a 17-point favorite against, I took BC, just so you know. And then come back and have a performance like this. Again, I look at when I evaluate. Let's start about when you talk about teams. You look at your defense. You look at the defense, and you look at what can they take away. They can't take away nothing.
Nothing.
You know what I mean? What can they take away? And then you look at them on offense, and they're just, this was going off the first week. They couldn't string successful plays back to back. Almost on one hand, it may have looked like they were snake bitten, but also on the other hand, it also looks like they have a problem executing the simple stuff. And then to be honest with you, as highly touted as DJ Underlay or whatever his name is,
Yeah.
I said underlay. But anyway, sorry.
We know what you mean.
Yeah. If as a quarterback you can't make the easy stuff look easy, then your team is going to struggle on offense. And he's always had that issue, in my opinion, going all the way back to Clemson. He can't make the easy stuff look easy. It still looks like a struggle. A pass in the flat, a swing pass, a screen play. He makes it look awfully difficult in the passing game. So,
yeah, I agree. I mean, it like you said, it's just the little things. It's the little things on there that he can't get past getting. And you said you didn't get a chance to see the game last night. It was the same. It was more the same. They couldn't get plays together. They couldn't string together just 3 or 4 plays to get a drive going with them. Their running game was just absent completely. Their leading rusher had 11 yards, so there was no running game. They're not getting any push from the offensive line. So I'm just not sure. I'm not sure where this Florida State team goes from here. I'm pretty sure it's going to lead to Adam Norvell getting fired, and it's really shocking to see that considering what they did last year, going undefeated. I know they had Jordan Travis in there, a different QB situation, but still the team as a whole just looked completely different. Coming into this year, they had a lot of gripe, had a lot to say about what happened to them last year and how they should have been in the playoffs, which I agree. I think they would have got smacked in the playoffs, but I agree that they should have been in because they went undefeated. And if you go undefeated, I mean, you can't ask a team to do anything more than that. They won every single game that was on their schedule, and they were in the Power 5 conference. But being up, trying to rebound from that, and then you come into this year and you start out 0-2, I mean, it's really shocking to see this kind of drop-off. Like PJ was saying, I don't know what type of a drop-off we've seen from a quarterback like this, at least in recent memory that I could think of, that's comes in.
So I asked you, Jalen, when was he good?
In high school, according to everybody else, high school,
I was awesome in high school.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
That's true.
No. So what I'm saying is, like, I think we a lot of times these guys and PJ, you may have more insight to this. These guys come from these highly touted football factories, right? And what looks plug and play in high school, you get to college. And there's so many other variables in what makes a guy successful, like being able to read a defense. Like, that's a big thing once you get to college. If you have the fastest wide receiver in high school and he's out running the DB, you don't have to read the defense. You just throw it out there and let him go get it. They're gonna scheme you up. In college, they're literally gonna take away the stuff you like to do as a quarterback, and you're going to have to do the things that you are not so good at. So you're going to have to improve at that level. Like I said, I've never been – I've seen him a couple times. I've seen him play over the years. I've seen him play a number of times. He's just a guy who I believe if he's on a good team and he has a dynamic running game, he can look decent at quarterback at times. But on that 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, when you really need it, that's when you need to have a quarterback. That's when you need a guy. That's when you need somebody. What is the vernacular they use? You need him.
Yeah.
He's just a guy. He's not him.
Yeah, I mean that was the perfect way to put it. I think he's just a guy, and like you said, coming out of high school, you're going to the number one high school in the country, prep school, of course. I don't believe that for public schools. You're going to the number one prep school in the country. You're throwing to all 5-star dudes that are going to the league. It's just shocking to see that they had talent evaluators had this guy ranked in front of C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, who were both in the same state as this guy, relatively in the same area in Southern California, and he was the guy. Bryce Young was supposed to be okay. C.J. Stroud was supposed to be even lesser than that, and we've seen C.J. turn out to be the better of the three. PJ, final thoughts, man, on this Florida State meltdown, as I've said on here. Oh, but before you go, I'll put that the coach on here said, Adam Norvell, the coach, said, I apologize to the fans. I apologize to everybody associated with this program. That was extremely disappointing. That's what he said after that. And we heard in the fourth quarter, as DJ was throwing some more knuckleballs into the ground, we heard fans start to chant, "We want Brock," who is the backup quarterback, Brock Glenn, who they were talking about for DJ.
I mean, Coach, to me, just sounds like somebody that knows he's about to lose his job.
Yeah. That's exactly what he sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, with DJ, they just starting to figure out that he's not that guy, where some of us have already kind of known that. Definitely when he was at Clemson. I mean, my thing is, if you bench him and you put the backup in, to me, it can't get any worse. So you might as well just try to see what the backup's going to look like. Definitely going into next week. I say they got an easy game next week.
No, they don't.
But you just never know. They might lose against Memphis. I got them losing against Memphis now. At
this point, I'm like Rocky. I'm taking the points on whoever Florida State plays. I don't care what their favorite in the game.
Whoever they play now. Yeah. I don't really see them beating anyone, really. You know, yesterday we went through their whole entire schedule.
Yeah.
We was on the phone afterwards, and I probably got them winning maybe 2 games on their season. Probably only 2.
Based on what we've seen these first few games, I mean, I don't see how you could have them winning a lot of games in this. And this really just proves that the ACC, I mean, it's already falling apart. Teams are already talking about coming to the Big 12, but this is just furthermore proving that the ACC is on its way out, just like we saw the Pac-12 be on its way out.
You know, the crazy thing about it, though, man, about 2 years ago, I think Florida State, this around the time Texas and Oklahoma, they really made it official that they were going to be going to the SEC. And I remember Florida State was trying to come into the SEC, and the SEC declined them.
I wonder why.
Yeah, it's crazy how everything come back full circle, you know, because they were really adamant on being.
Well, I think they had.
Too good for the ACC.
I think they had an invite, but the issue is they had like $100 million exit fee, and so that's why they didn't come in. Like, matter of fact, I think currently they're in a lawsuit with the ACC currently, and to get out of paying that absorbent exit fee to lead the ACC. So I think that's kind of why they weren't able to go there. Because I think from a footprint standpoint, they kind of fit. You know, they fit the SEC.
Yeah, they fit good. Yeah.
You know, I think they can let's be honest. Florida State is in very fertile recruiting ground where they are in Tallahassee. And so they should be better than they are. I believe in this age in football. I don't know if you guys saw Nick Saban this weekend on doing the pregame show. Mm-hmm. And he made a very, very good point. He was talking about some teams are paying $20 million to total in NIL.
Yeah.
If you pick the wrong players to invest your team in, right? Because you really you can only NIL one quarterback. You know, once you pay a guy a couple $1 million, there's no other quarterbacks that's going to come and compete for a job because, you know, you're kind of obligated to the guy you paid a couple $1 million to, you know? Yeah. So you're only going to have one quarterback. And then in that situation, if you end up with the wrong guy, then
you look like this.
Yeah, you know. It goes to the situation, and I'll even say this: you talked about Cam Ward and the Miami Hurricanes alluding to that being the best team in Florida. Again, I watched that game, and it's simply a situation like this. You swap quarterbacks in that game, University of Florida's going to win if they have Cam Ward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just that. The QB is just that pivotal little spot, man. Now, you got your teams like Georgia and Alabama that are not really as quarterback dependent, you know what I mean? Because they're so solid all the way around. But in most cases, if you got the right trigger man, you're going to have a chance in every game. Unfortunately, getting the right trigger man is much more difficult than it sounds.
Yeah, and it's been difficult, and I think it's even got, like you said, even more difficult when you put in NIL. And, I mean, you can't, like you said, you can't have two of these 5-star dudes on here wanting $1 million a piece competing for a backup spot. That's not going to happen, especially not with the way that the transfer portal is set up now. A dude will be on a plane in a minute and be the starting quarterback a la Dylan Gabriel, who's at his third program now. Seems like, remember they gave him some money when he went to Oklahoma. He got a bigger bag from Oregon now. He's in Oregon. So, I mean, it's difficult.
Do you think that the NIL is starting to kind of kill the culture of, like, how certain colleges back then, and I see some still that do it. I feel like Texas is kind of doing it right now, but actually helping to develop the quarterbacks.
So I think Texas is in a unique situation in this regard. They have a kid who is, let's be honest, he's independently wealthy, whether he's a Manning, right?
Yep.
And what his main goal is, let's not tarnish the Manning legacy. Correct?
Yeah.
Do we agree with that?
Yeah.
And so he's not going to go to a program where he has to revive the program or turn it around or anything like that. His uncles did that already, you know.
Yeah.
So he's going to go into a situation where he can properly develop in an offense and grow. Everybody won't take that luxury because everybody doesn't have a lot of guys have urgency created by their financial situation and the money that's offered at the time. You heard that saying, you got to strike while the iron's hot, right?
Yeah.
And with him being a Manning, that deal was done probably when he was in high school with Sark. You know what I mean? And they knew the long game. And then Quentin Ewers staying in college kind of, slowed down the transition. But again, at the end of the day, Arch Manning is going to be at the helm one day. Everybody knows it. He's not leaving Texas, and they're going to be loaded when he gets to behind center, just like they're loaded now. So because they have the bread to do it.
Even behind him right now, though, is Trey Owens, the quarterback from South Fair.
Yeah,
and he's pretty good. I think he's going to be really good once Arch is done doing what he do at Texas. I don't know, man. I've been looking at it. I feel like certain schools are still developing quarterbacks, and then you got some schools where it's just like, man, let me just throw this money. You try to get a guy in right now.
Well, you also got guys. You got coaches who are, in my opinion, that are going to be stubborn about this, right? You got Dabo Swinney. He said, is almost like protesting. How many? But I'll say this: how many butt kickings can you take before you realize this is the game now?
Yeah,
this is what it is. Those people that I remember back in the early 2000s and 2010, and people were reluctant to go buy into the one and done in NCAA football. Basketball.
Yeah. And
then we had a couple teams, a couple of those blue blood teams get their butt kicked by a couple of those one and done kids, and all of a sudden Mike Krzyzewski's taking one and done guys now. You know what I mean? So,
a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. Going back to Tracy McGrady, all those guys. Yeah. Those one and done guys. So now he developed a situation where he would take those one and done guys. I think once the coaches and administrations and schools understand that paying players is just what you have to do if you want to field a competitive football team, you're going to have to pay players.
Mm-hmm.
And they got this free labor for 100 years. You know, they built the sport. The sport is as popular as it is. You know, this is reality that the sport became as popular as it was with the main labor force being on the free. They were able to build buildings, build facilities, fund other athletic teams. But now we're in a new age, a new day. Payers are requiring you to pay them. I've talked to several coaches, and even at the D3 level, coaches are saying the first thing when they go to the players, say, "Hey, coach, what you got for me?" You know what I mean? Everybody wants to get paid, so that's the reality.
Yeah.
And if Tennessee, Michigan, Kansas State, Texas, Oklahoma, and Baylor, if they want to be in the game, you got to pay to play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And I think to your point, PJ, like you said, is it messing up the development? I think that's what comes with it. With this batch of players, like you said, this is a new era, and that's what's going to come with it. Some of these dudes are going to peak in college, but a lot of guys before them peaked in college, but they didn't get money, even though the university made millions upon millions, a la Johnny Football. Johnny, how much money did A&M is in the stadium they're in now? I mean, they've had a huge stadium, but now it holds, 110,000, 109,000 people because of Johnny Football. That's because of Manziel. And even though Manziel was getting paid, but not directly from them. But if you could get paid directly from them, would there even have been a contract big enough to keep a Manziel somewhere like that? I mean, there's plenty of guys that have built up and boosted these programs to the point of them making millions and millions of dollars, and then maybe didn't pan out all the way in NFL like that. A Vince Young, a Colt McCoy, if we're talking about Texas. And so that's what's going to come with it. Some of these guys are going to peak out in college, and they're not going to develop all the way that they should. But everybody wasn't going to develop to the next level anyway.
Well, what I also think is there's going to be a time here where coaches are going to say, that's just a great college player. Let's get 5 or 6 of those guys. They don't project in the NFL, very productive in college. Let's bring them on a defense or offensive line. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you can transform a unit like that and become very competitive. What projects to a pro player doesn't always make a great college player, especially when you calculate youth is involved. How about getting some 4-year, 5th-year guys, be on your defensive line, be on your offensive line. Even there are skill positions probably where guys may not have the top end speed to project high in the NFL draft, and you bring those guys back. Let them bring them back for a couple $100,000 or $1 million. The deal is the NFL minimum now, I want to say it's $750. So
yeah,
so even if you're a free agent or 6th, 7th, 8th round pick, 6th, 5th, 6th, 7th round pick, if you can make a roster, you can make $750 a year. I think in college the deal is, if I project as a free agent, would I stay in college and get $400 or $500 rather than going to potentially be going through the process of trying to make an NFL roster? I think most kids would take that $500,000 in college if they're projected as a fringe player in the NFL.
Yeah, because I think it's for sure money. You try to keep that money.
It's only 20 hours a week.
Yeah, 20 hours a week, unlimited parties, and a lot of perks on campus. So I mean, for some people that translates out well. But we'll see how this Florida State saga kind of unfolds. Right now they're 0-2. A lot of questions at the quarterback position. A lot of questions at the head coach. So and to see that right after a 13-0 season is not like we usually see with teams like a Florida State.
Well, let's talk about another disappointment that I saw. I don't know if you guys talked about it on Monday, but I thought A&M had an awful showing.
Oh my goodness.
For sure.
I thought they had an awful showing, and I thought the quarterback, people were very high on Wegman, but he didn't show me much at all.
Much of anything.
He didn't show me much at all. And matter of fact, I thought their defense played really well, but there was no explosive or special players on offense that I saw from A&M. Did you guys get a chance to catch that game?
Yeah, we got a chance to watch that game, and we got a chance to. We talked about it briefly yesterday. We definitely could talk about it some more today. And I mean, me and PJ talk about this all the time. I don't understand what the deal is with A&M and how they. I know how they get these players because they got a bag. I know how they get the players, but for it to just never translate on the field at the collegiate level is just kind of shocking to me. I mean, in the last at least 20 years that I've been watching college football, it has just never translated outside of the Johnny Manziel years, and that really wasn't even the best teams that A&M has had. They just had Manziel and Mike Evans, but those weren't just the best teams. To see them come out here after all the hype this year, Texas coming over to the SEC, they're like, oh, we're the Texas team in the SEC. We've been here, yada yada. They get a new coach. They blame everything on Jimbo Fisher. And now we got a good coach, and now we're going to be good. They give Jimbo Fisher $70-something million to go home and then blame everything on him as if he was the problem. They come out here, completely lay an egg, don't do anything remotely good. Connor Wigman goes out here, goes 12 for 30, 100 yards, 2 picks, a 31 QB rating. I mean, come on, y'all. This is ridiculous at this point. PJ, go ahead.
I honestly just don't understand how they could be so bad. I really didn't understand all the hype that they had coming into the season. Because looking at their recruiting during the offseason, I wasn't really impressed on who they were bringing in. I didn't really see them do as much in the transfer portal or anything like that. And then they didn't have anybody on offense that was going to be able to be as explosive as who was the guy?
Evan Stewart
from last year. So yeah, Evan Stewart. I really didn't. To me, they lost more than they gained. So I didn't really understand the hype for them coming into the season. But I still didn't think they were going to be as bad as what they shown when they played Notre Dame. Texas A&M was just.
And now
I don't know. At this point, it's pathetic to me, honestly, just how bad they be consistently sometimes.
Well, I also thought it was a bad matchup for A&M the first game. They literally playing probably one of the top secondaries in the nation.
Yeah.
Wegman is coming off an injury. Like I said, when I was watching the game, I didn't see anything that popped on the screen as far as in the receiver group. So if you can lock those guys down man to man, you can commit everybody to the run. They really not a lot of options unless you have a special guy at quarterback. And, of course, Wigman didn't play special last game. I did, again, I'm a little older than you guys, so I can go back and talk to you about, I think A&M's culture sometimes prevents them from fully committing to what today's football truly is. Like in today's culture, you can even see Notre Dame looks a little different. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Notre Dame looks more like Miami did.
More like the convicts than the Catholics.
It looks yeah, it was, you know what I mean? So it looks different. And I think you have to embrace that fully. Right? If you're in Texas, you have some of the best high school athletes in the country. You have to invest and bring those guys in the fold, and you have to create a culture that's attractive to those guys. I don't know that College Station provides a culture that's attractive to guys who are high-level NFL caliber football players.
Yeah, I don't think it does at all. Honestly, go ahead, PJ.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Because I remember just going down to College Station sometimes and just going to go hang out around their campus, and it really wasn't. It was really nothing down there to me that was appealing. So I could only imagine another student who really goes there. It's really nothing down there to me that's appealing for them. And then it's just like you said, it really is the culture. I don't really feel like they have a culture anymore.
Not for those type of players.
Well, I mean,
Not for those type of players.
I think they have a culture, but it's a bit dated. You know, when you talk about the 12th man, the core, the tradition, like people literally, that stadium is full when them guys march out on the field and they're cheering hard to watch those. Like, that's their culture. That's what they've bought into. That's what they believe. They want a good football team, but they don't want to separate themselves from that culture, right? And I don't know that culture is attractive to high-level, NFL caliber, high school athletes. Like, I mean, especially when you can go play in Texas, you know, you can go play, you know, places where the culture is more diverse. I'll just put it like that. And you can incorporate, you know, like, in my opinion, A&M, other than Johnny Manziel, I can't remember an A&M player that had a personality.
Nope.
Give me one.
No. Even his teammate, Mike Evans, didn't have one when he was there with Johnny Manziel.
You know, I think if you could get some guys, like I think if you had a quarterback or maybe a running back that would score a touchdown and do the Johnny Manziel money deal, that would, you know, that would do something. But would that be acceptable? Now, when Johnny did it, I think Johnny put it in their face.
Yeah, he didn't give them a choice.
Yeah, you had to, and he was incredible. He was absolutely electric. I don't care what he was as an NFL player. To be able to watch football in that era was absolutely, it was a sensational. He was a phenomenon. So I appreciate the 2 years I was able to watch Johnny Manziel play football, but he was something special, and I haven't seen A&M have a player like that or recruit a player like that in you know, since.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody that's been in A&M's program, like you said, in the last 20 years that's had anything close. Obviously, they won't have the type of shock value that he had, but like you said, just any personality, any type of pop, anything like that out of the A&M program.
Now I was just gonna say, A-Chain was a sensational college player, but no personality, no promotion. No, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead, PJ.
No, I was just saying they you know that class, what was that, 2022 class with Evan Stewart, or 2022 class with Evan Stewart. They had him, but it's like you lose him. You know what I mean? Just because of how everything was going on around the program. You know what I mean? They lost pretty much the entire class, I think, besides Connor Wigman and probably two other guys that's on the defense right now.
Yeah, it's only a couple linemen still.
They got a lot they got to figure out.
Yeah, it's a lot they got to figure out with their program. You got this new coach. Can't blame it on the coach anymore fully. They've got to do something as a football team to come together and to be able to try to boost morale. They got McNeese State coming up this weekend, so obviously they'll beat the brakes off of them. But after that, you got a Florida team that did not look, you know, good at all. On September 14th, they got them. You got to make a statement. That's the type of game that you have to make a statement. They're going to Florida to play them. If you still want to be considered, because right now I think they still got them in the top 25. If you want to be considered one of those top 25 teams, you have to go in and make a statement against Florida. You can't just beat them. You got to go in and get a pretty convincing win, because right now everybody's down on Florida. So even if you beat them, it just won't look, you know, you won't look like world beaters beating those guys. They don't have too tough of a schedule when you look at LSU, who might be having a down year. I don't want to put too much into their loss against USC. And then, you know, they get to beat up on teams like Arkansas and Auburn and South Carolina in here. So it's not too difficult of a schedule, and they could make a run at the college football playoffs potentially, but you got to pick up those wins.
They not making a college football playoff on nothing. now
I'm agreeing.
So this is what you got to look at. This is what this is what I look at. It's not only how you looked, right? Okay, Florida looked bad. Mm-hmm. I'll give you. Florida looked bad. But Cam Ward played sensational, and he attributed for a lot of the offense that was generated, right? Mm-hmm. So if you put Wegman on Miami, is that a much more competitive game?
Yeah. That's way more competitive. It might be a different outcome in the game.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's what you got. That's how you got to look at it. A&M is not going to have Cam Ward when they show up in Florida. They're going to have Wegman. And will Wegman be able to do what Cam Ward did? I doubt it.
Not a chance.
So those are the kind of things. So I see that for the most part as a pretty competitive game. Like, yeah. I mean, if you were to say, if I had to pick a favorite, I would pick A&M because A&M played against. I would say at this point Notre Dame is better than Miami.
Yeah,
at this point,
sure.
This is what I would say. Notre Dame is better than Miami. And for the most part, A&M was the game was competitive. That game was very competitive. But it wouldn't be surprise me going on the road. A&M goes to Florida, it gets punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
Because again, they only passed for 100 yards.
Yeah.
They only ran for a little over 100. You know, it wouldn't be surprised me that there was nothing that they. Now again, maybe Florida is trash. You know, maybe Cam Ward isn't that good. Maybe he just took advantage of a real weak Florida team. I don't know. That's what makes, as the season kind of unfolds, we'll get a chance to see who is really good in real time, who improves, who gets a better win. I believe, I think for Miami, Florida was a good win. I think Florida was a good win. I think for A&M, for Notre Dame, on the road, in Kyle Field, that was a good win.
Yeah,
and I think that it'll be a battle of what I would consider two underachieving teams that'll play in Florida, and it'll be a battle of who wants it most, and that'll determine, I think, what the rest of A&M season is going to look like, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely going to determine what the rest of their season will look like, because after that, they'll get Bowling Green again, but a few weeks after that, they'll have a Missouri team that's looking real good. They'll have an LSU team that's going to be pretty mad, and they got to end the season against Texas, which I think they have no chance against. So we'll see how things turn out here in A&M under a new coaching regime. Dropped the season 0-1, even though it was against the top 10 team in the nation in Notre Dame, and we'll see if those guys are able to turn it around. I want to thank everybody for watching with us so far today. Make sure you guys go on to YouTube if you want to watch this action, Centex Sports TV, or you can go on to Facebook and watch there as well, Centex Sports Network on Facebook. Also, you guys can go on if you want to listen to this content every day, CentexSports1.com. You can go on there and listen to this, or you can download the app on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, Centex Sports 1, and on the app you will be able to listen to this content daily, or you can watch the content on there as well. Well, fellas, we got this new top 25 has come out that we finally got an update now that we've had about a week and a half of football. They finally put out an update on the rankings. Some guys moved up in the rankings. Some guys moved down in the rankings. Some people completely moved out. Florida State. They've completely moved out of the top 25 as they started the season number 10. But even some teams that picked up wins in their week one openers have dropped in the standings. And some teams, even though they were projected to win those games, have moved up. Notre Dame has moved up to the 5 spot now after picking up a win against an A&M team that was ranked coming into the season, that is not ranked anymore in this newest poll. So they moved up to the number 5 spot. Alabama moves up a spot after looking really good against a team that we know they would beat eventually. That we know they will beat, but still they looked really good. They moved up to the 4 spot. Texas moves up from number 4 to the number 3 spot after a demolition job on Colorado State, shutting them out 52-0 as they looked really good. And one of the teams that was projected to, in some people's eyes, be in the national championship, and some people's eyes win the Big Ten, has moved down 4 spots, and that's the Oregon Ducks. They moved down from that number 3 spot that Texas is now in, and they move all the way back to number 7 after what looked like really a very underwhelming win against the Idaho team. That when you go back and look at the highlights, I mean, Idaho was kind of moving them around, and they just like Oregon, had a close game. Those guys were kind of whooping up on Oregon on that line of scrimmage a few times in that game. A very underwhelming win, 24-14, as they beat Idaho, and Michigan drops down 1 spot as well from the 9th to the 10th spot after an underwhelming win against Fresno State. What are some of your guys' thoughts about this? Some of the teams in this new AP Top 25. Rocky, we'll go ahead and start with you.
I want to go ahead and talk about that Oregon game because again, I think it plays into how another game that was played earlier in the week was perceived, right? Colorado played North Dakota State. They struggled. They struggled to get a victory with North Dakota State. And it was seen as a failure and by Coach Prime. Oregon plays what I consider a lesser program.
Yes,
for sure,
considerably.
Yeah, and they struggle. It's 14-7 going into the 4th, and they're in the top 10. So they were in the top 10, and then they dropped down some. So what I'm saying is, week 1 doesn't provide much clarity when you're evaluating teams because you have nothing to compare them to. North Dakota State may end up winning it all. They usually knock off a FBS school every year, so that's not, they've knocked off some ranked teams. They knocked off Iowa or Iowa State. So again, you don't know what they are until they play a few games. But it's funny that Coach Prime them took they took it as they underachieved or they're not as projected to be as good this season because of how they did against North Dakota State.
Yeah.
However, Oregon is still ranked in the top 20, 25,
Number 7.
and they struggle with Idaho. So it's funny how those things kind of play out. And one team is still seen as a viable team, and the other team is seen as not as good as expected. What do you think about that, PJ?
I agree with you for sure, because I think I called Jalen that same night and went on a rant about Oregon, and it really wasn't that I was just mad at how bad that they were doing. It was just the fact you had certain Oregon fans that was in the chat that was trying to justify them almost losing to an FCS team. And to me, it didn't really matter that the FCS team went 9-3, or I think they went 8-3 last year. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really matter what their record was. Y'all were the number 3 school in the nation playing against an FCS team. You're supposed to dominate. Definitely with all the hype that they had coming into the season about their receiving core, a lot of the guys that they got from the transfer portal, Dylan Gabriel coming over to Oregon. There was a lot of talk about their defense being better than last year and how they were going to just go into the Big Ten and just win it. Like it's crazy to me that they had them winning the Big Ten over like teams like Ohio State, even a Penn State, even teams like Iowa,
Michigan,
who always ends up playing everybody. Yeah, Michigan, Nebraska, even going into the season to say that Oregon, a team that's going to have to travel all the way from the West Coast, pretty much every week once conference play starts, and going to have to go all the way over to the Midwest and some places pretty much the East Coast to play these teams and just say, oh, well, they're going to just go into the Big Ten and win easily. To me, that was kind of crazy, but. I don't know, watching the game, I feel like they should have been dropped a little further in the top 25.
Yeah, me too.
But, they're going to have bias towards certain teams. Definitely when you speak on like a Colorado You know what I mean? To me, if that was Colorado probably would be dropped all the way to like 17.
No, that's facts.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
facts.
they'd probably drop them probably to number 20 or something. You know what I mean? But because it's Oregon and all the hype and everything that they got with them, they're only going to drop a few spots. To me, that's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. The fact that they only dropped a couple spots, and to go to Rocky's point about the perception of it, I think, you know, how people play online and say, you know, the NFL, they got a script, or the NBA's got a script. I think coming into the season, the sport that's got the most script, if there is one, is college football, because they're going to find a way to justify wins. They're going to find a way to justify losses. They found a way to justify Florida State not being in the college football playoffs, even though they won every single game that they participated in, and two of the teams that got in had a loss. However that is looked at, they find a way to change the perception as far as how teams are ranked. Basically, I mean, mostly because there's a ranking system. In the NBA, there's not a ranking system. You just play until there's a champion. In the NFL, there's not a ranking system. You play until there's a champion. Every single week in college football, a group of people get together and decide who is going to be the top school in the nation, thus bringing on storylines, thus bringing on narratives that are, even if they're not trying to, that are going to be pushed. And the Oregon narrative, they wanted them to come into, I mean, I'm seeing, I don't know where it was coming from. I'm watching, you know, College Game Day the week before college football really starts, and they're picking their winners for conferences, and almost 2 or 3 of them picked Oregon to win the Big Ten. And I'm just like, what are y'all, what football were y'all watching that would make you think Oregon is going to be better than, 1, Ohio State, 2, going to be better than the national champions, Michigan? Like, I don't know what, I know they got Evan Stewart in the transfer portal, and they got Dylan Gabriel in the transfer portal. Coach Prime goes out there and beats. First of all, the Colorado Buffaloes their over-under for wins this year was like 6 wins. So the fact that you're talking about, oh, man, they didn't look good against, even though they're a powerhouse in D2, they didn't look good against those guys. But then you got a team that's coming out here projected. They had those dudes in the national championship. I'm listening to Desmond Howard and all these dudes, Pat McAfee, on College Game Day, and they're picking Georgia versus Oregon for a national championship game. And then they come out and almost lay an egg against a subpar team in Idaho who's not even better than North Dakota State, and instantly everybody gets to, you know, cop and please, as some people say, about Oregon and why, oh, man, it's just the beginning of the season, and these guys, they need time to gel. They got a new quarterback, and Dan Lanning. So, you know, I'm not a big fan of the narratives that are pushed in college football when it comes to the ranking, especially early in the season. Like Rocky said, it's not much to really tell about who is who yet.
Well, let's think about this, right? At the end of the day, this is entertainment. So they need a viable team out west, right?
Yeah.
And Oregon, to me, was the best option. Washington is mid.
Super mid.
USC was expected to be mid, right? Oregon really is their only hope of having a great team out west, right? And they want that team to be in the Big Ten. Yeah. Utah may be, you know, pretty good, but that may not be west enough for them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that's where it comes from. They want a viable team out west, and we know UCLA is garbage juice.
Terrible.
And so that's what they're trying to do. Now watch this. Let's watch how quickly they bail on Oregon once USC strings a few wins together.
They just moved up 10 spots, number 13.
See, I didn't even know that. I was going to say
that too.
I didn't even know that. But I know how this game works. It's in their best interest. It's in their best interest that those teams are involved in the competition to bring in those audiences into the fold. If those teams aren't viable, it makes college football a really regional sport. You really, if you take the West Coast out of it, it's basically Texas, the Southeast, and the Midwest is all that you have playing college football.
Yeah, I agree. And
And because we know out on the Northeast, there's not a team up there that really is going to be viable. You know what I mean?
they don't have one in the top 25.
You know what I mean? Boston College got a good win this week, so I mean,
yeah.
but even they're not a blue blood kind of team. And I'm trying to think of one that's out there. I don't even think there's a blue blood team coming out of that, region of the country. So my point is, they need the West to get the numbers. They need the West. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of Oregon, because Dan Lanning kind of burst on the scene, taking advantage of a Colorado team that was a 4-win team. Yeah. And he got a lot of credit for beating Deion in that game, beat him down. Mm-hmm. But in the big games, he had 2 of them. Michael Penix Jr. and the Washington Huskies beat him both times. Yep. So let's see, without Bo Nix, a 6-year senior or something like that, let's see what kind of coach Dan Lanning is. Let's see what kind of coach he is. And we'll get a chance to see this play out during the season, because if you're the coach that everyone believes you are, you'll have something to say in the playoffs. But if you're not, if you're a fraud, if you're a flash in the pan, if you're a one-hit wonder, we'll see that as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the season plays out for Oregon, because, again, it could have been for Oregon, not that Dan Lanning is a great coach, but he's just, the lightning strike. He just hit the iron. What's the saying? The iron, whatever you got.
The iron while it's hot.
Yeah, struck the iron while it's hot. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm interested in seeing what this Oregon team will do, and we'll talk a little bit more college football, everybody, when we come back from break. We're going to take a quick break as we get ready to go into hour number 2. We got some more college football to talk about. We've got some high school football to touch on lightly as we talked about the Central Texas teams here this past weekend, and we've got NFL starting this week as well, so we got some stuff to talk about. Folks, stay tuned right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back and come back for the top of the hour.
CBS Sports Central Texas, KWBT HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Hood is CBS Sports Central Texas, changing sports radio.
It's the family feels for me. The banana pudding peach cobbler make you want to holler for me. It's the candy yams, mac and cheese, beef tips, pork tips and rice, collard greens. It's the sweet potato pie, sweetie. Fried chicken you've been missing, the lemon sweet tea dressing on Sundays when you all dressed up. Chest pie, buttermilk, and pound cake. Cornbread with butter just dripping, always fresh baked. If you need Southern style, soul food, home cooked meals that you can feel. Chicken and dumplings, chicken pot pie, 719 South 11th Street. Sassy's, come on by.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
Central Texas, learn how to be a part of 254 Media Group, home of Magic 94.5, 94.5 The Beat, and CBS Sports Radio 94.5 HD2. Inquiring businesses, please call 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or email Roy at 254mediagroup.com.
CBS Sports Central Texas, KWBT HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Hood is CBS Sports Central Texas, changing sports radio.
Hello and welcome back into the 6 o'clock hour here on Centex Primetime as we get ready to continue to bring you some of these hot topics around not only Central Texas but in sports in general. I'm still here joined with Rocky Miller and also got PJ Gaither here on the line with us as well. Folks, we were talking a little bit of college football before we went into the break. And just to round out, talking about this new AP Top 25 polls that they've got on here. We touched on it lightly. USC moves up now 10 spots after defeating LSU team that was ranked ahead of them. I believe they were ranked number 13. They dropped 5 spots down to number 18. And USC, as Rocky says, they need a West Coast team to put up in the standings, and I'm 100% agreeing with that. And I also agree that I think they're going to try to, depending on how Oregon looks over the next few weeks, they might try to flip those two around there, as USC might end up being the pick. And they did look pretty good against LSU, even though LSU kind of dropped the ball on that one. They had the lead going into the fourth quarter and kind of fell apart in the big games, like we've seen this LSU team do with under the helms of Brian Kelly so far. Arizona moves up 1 spot, a team I thought probably could have moved up a couple spots, even though their team didn't look just outstanding in their win, but their quarterback and their wide receiver really shined, so they move up a spot in the standings. Miami, we talked about them with Cam Ward. They move up 7 spots. They were ranked 19, and after doing a demolition job to Florida, they move all the way up to 12 in the standings. Let's see, Oklahoma moves up a spot. Oklahoma State moves up a spot, and Kansas State also moving up a spot as well. A couple teams dropping out. Florida State completely drops out of the top 25. That is not a shocker to anybody. We said LSU dropped down to 18, and dropping down 11 spots after getting shellacked by Georgia is Clemson and Dabo Swinney, who we talked about a little bit yesterday, PJ, about the disconnect it seems Dabo seems to have with the times now in college football. They dropped all the way down to 11. Rocky, I want to get your opinion on what do you think about this Clemson team, and after they lose 34-3 on national television to the number 1 team in the nation.
I mean, it's a simple deal, and y'all can tell me you get what you pay for.
Yeah, just like that.
You get what you pay for. If you're refusing to embrace the NIL, if you're refusing to use your resources and share your resources with kids who are out there looking for opportunities to capitalize on their talent, to enrich their fans, to enrich their family, their families and themselves, and your position is to, I'm not gonna reward these players with money. I don't want players who want money. I want winners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But, I think it's an archaic. He's a Neanderthal, and the times are gonna move him by, gonna go by. I mean, this is. I mean, it is what it is. He can only, in this time frame, you can only live off legacy and tradition for so long. At some point, you're gonna have to come up with that money.
Yeah,
money. You know what I'm saying? You got to come up with that money, because that's what Jamal and Ray and Juke and all them. That's what they want, because they want to know what kind. And guess what? Those are the players on Saturday that's gonna catch those. Juke is gonna catch those touchdowns. Juke is gonna be able to run for 150. You understand? You can. Hey man, you can get Ethan and and Brock and all those guys you want. They don't need no money. They parents is doctors and lawyers, whatever. But Ethan and Brock can't help you out on Saturday. They gonna get you beat 30-14, something
34 to 3.
Yeah, 34-3. I love Brock and Ethan when it's time for me to go to the hospital. I want Brock and Ethan right there. in the hospital treating me for whatever ailment I have. But when it's time to play football, I need Jamal. I need Ray. I need Juke. I need all them guys.
No, that's facts. That's facts. I'm agreeing with you.
I need Lester's youngest boy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not for real, but like seeing, I mean, you know, I've heard other Caucasian males in the NFL talk about it too. I seen Josh Allen said they got to check for when they see too many white legs on the defense playing skill position. But when you think about Clemson, I mean, last year they had a white running back, which you know, they had a white running back. So I think they had a couple lighter skinned fellows in the secondary as well. And I think Dabo wants to recruit a certain type of guy, a certain type of player that he wants to recruit. And like you said, that's going to leave you behind when you're talking about competing against a team like Georgia and Alabama.
I think in today's let me put it in this. You know, I'm for all you guys that may think I'm being racist. I'm not being racist. I'm talking about ethnicity and culture.
Yeah.
In this situation, ethnicity and culture. I think there are just as many white guys that can play in college football as there are black guys. However, when you talk about certain cultures, they tend to dominate. You brought up the skills. Those guys, if the secondary room doesn't look like the offensive line room. They look different. They look different. And you know, the quarterback room sometimes looks even different. You know what I mean? And so that's just the reality of it. And unfortunately, when you talk about kids who come from challenged socioeconomic backgrounds, they want money.
Yeah.
Not only this, I have a real good friend that his son is going into the recruiting process. He played college football. He wants his son to get money.
Yeah.
He don't want he got the pats on the backs and the cheers and the high fives. Yeah. He don't want his son to leave college with high fives, cheers, and pats on the back. He wants his son to leave with what?
The money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these second generation, third generation college football players, these guys, they know the game. A lot of these guys got suspended for taking money. They got penalized. They had to hide the fact that they were receiving money, or they had to eat ham sandwiches and peanut butter while other people living off of their success was able to eat filet mignon and lobster, right?
Yeah.
It was for so many years, it was illegal. It was against the rules for a coach to buy a kid a hamburger.
Yep.
That was because a hamburger was an extra benefit, PJ. A hamburger.
Yeah.
A kid. Mama is a housekeeper.
Taco Bell.
Mama is a housekeeper at Motel 6. She ain't got no money to send Jamal. Jamal, you know when you eat at the calf at 6:30, you know by 9:30 what time it is. It's time to re-up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Jamal ain't got no money. And if the coach or somebody, just anybody, a booster or anything, would buy him a hamburger, he's going on suspension by taking an extra benefit, a burger, a biscuit, a fruit roll-up. They were running a real live, scam.
Yeah. Huge scam.
So why does guys like Dabo now feel like these guys don't deserve anything, man? It frustrates me. However, the fact of the matter, it's $1 billion business. If you can't find a way to cut the players in on $1 billion, the whole industry needs to implode, in my opinion. Because the only fair thing is to cut the players in on that money.
That's the only fair thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, and like I say, as y'all can probably tell, this is one of my soapboxes. This is one of the things that I'm passionate about. And I don't care. they come up with all these fancy names, NILs, collectives, with all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do that. Just pay the players. Just pay them. I thought it was so cool to see the Baylor closest of we pay players.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was super dope. Let's not hide it. Let's not make because for so many years, kids who took a benefit was viewed as the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, you got so many players in history that they took money from boosters or agent, and they were considered the bad guy. I mean, their names were plastered all over the newspaper like they were criminals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for taking some money. I'm agreeing with you, PJ. I'll let you go ahead and close out talking about this before we go to the next topic.
No, I agree all the way, man. Because like you got schools like the SMU that got the death penalty because of stuff like this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Back in the day, you got certain players like a Reggie Bush. You got different schools like who was that? I think Penn State. Penn State even got in trouble about this before. So it's only right to pay the players.
Now Penn State got in trouble about Penn State had a different kind of problem. They weren't giving no extra benefits.
They wasn't benefits they was giving.
You know, not to.
I remember even. I'm
sorry about that. No. What I'm saying is, and I'm not trying to, and because this is a sensitive subject to me. At the end of the day, Penn State was, and Jerry Sandusky was abusing kids.
Yeah.
And I don't want our laughter to be caught in the wrong context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And my point in saying that is that's not what happened at Penn State that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I want to say, I think you're right. Art Schlichter did something, didn't he? Art Schlichter, the quarterback, did he get ruled in there? Okay, so my bad. You're correct, PJ. I went straight to the Jerry Sandusky deal when you brought up Penn State. My apologies for doing that. But yeah, Art Schlichter was he either took money or was gambling on college sports or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, all right, you're right, BJ. But I mean, PJ. But I just wanted to say this: we were not laughing at the situation at Penn State. It's not a laughing matter. Kids were abused, kids were hurt, families were affected, and so I just want to make sure we put that to rest, because we all have families, and we don't want anybody to mischaracterize our laughter.
Yeah, go ahead, PJ.
You know, I would just say, you know, I remember even me playing in college where it was like, and this was before NIL, probably just a few years before the NIL even became a thing, where we eating at Taco Bell late at night, we eating at Subway. I remember those times when we'd be waiting in the back of, I think, CC's Pizza, because they usually go out and throw the pizzas away that they wouldn't, you know, have sold for the day. And we'll wait until he come outside with the boxes and get boxes from him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's an extra benefit, PJ. That's an extra benefit.
Yeah, like, yeah, so, you know, I'm happy that kids do get paid now, man, because this stops them from going and doing stupid stuff. We've seen a lot of guys in college football, definitely back then, that would go and do stupid stuff just so that they can eat.
Jameis.
Now,
you know what I mean? Or just so they...
You know, back in my...
It's you know, oh, go ahead.
No. I was just saying, back in our day, there's these things called. Okay, I'm finna take y'all back in time here, right? This is y'all. I'm gonna put y'all in the time machine.
Yeah.
Back when I was a youngster, there was something called a fuzzbuster. Do you have any idea what a fuzzbuster is?
No chance.
Well, a fuzzbuster was a device that you would put in your car that plugged into the cigarette lighter, that sent out a signal that would alert you when police were around.
Okay.
That's what a fuzzbuster was. Some people will say it's also known as a radar detector.
Yeah.
All right?
Police scanner. Yeah.
Police scanner. Back in my day, there were guys who would break windows and grab those things off your dashboard and sell them for a profit. And there were many players in NCAA football that got penalized and arrested for stealing fuzzbusters and radio and radio consoles. And this is hey, any of you guys' dads will attest to this.
Yeah.
Like that was a thing. Someone stealing your fuzzbuster. If you left your fuzzbuster out, someone would break your window and reach in there and grab your fuzzbuster, and you'd have a broken window worth $200, and they stole a $40 fuzzbuster. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, no, I'll let you go ahead and finish, PJ. Them boys were getting to it back then, is what it sounded like. They weren't wasting no time.
Yeah.
Hey,
I would say though, just to get off.
No, I said, ask your parents when you get home. Hey, do you know what a fuzzbuster is?
Y'all drop them in the comments if y'all watching live with us. Drop in the comments any of your fuzzbuster stories for some of the people watching with us.
I don't even think those things work, to be honest with you. I think fuzzbusters were a hoax.
They probably were. I don't think they had the proper technology to be able to alert you guys in time enough, at least, to get away from those. But go ahead and close it out, PJ.
Now, I would just say, I feel like it's wrong for any coach just to feel like they're entitled, you know what I mean, like that, to be like, oh, well, these kids, they don't really need to be getting this type of money or anything. Because, like I say, it's a long history of a lot of players getting in trouble for doing all types of stuff, different schools getting in trouble. I always go back to the SMU, the death penalty, because that set their program back for about a good 30 years.
Yeah, set them way back.
We're just now starting to see them actually, we're starting to see them now kind of, get back to what they were. But I can't even necessarily say to what they were, because I still don't feel like that they're all the way back. I mean, they're back to being a really good program. I think this year they're going to do really good in the ACC. I'm excited to really watch them this year. But still, that set a whole program back for 30 years off of pretty much what these kids are, benefiting off of right now. So, yeah, I mean, just, like I said yesterday, I feel like Dabo is going to end up being gone anyway. He's too prideful. I don't think that he's able to sit his pride off to the side and, kind of grow with college football what it is now.
But let me ask you this here, PJ. He may be prideful, but I know Jalen is a married man just like I am. He lives with a woman just like we do. And at some point, when he get too stubborn, she gonna have to say, baby, at the end of the day, if I'm gonna keep going being able to go to Louis Vuitton, you're gonna have to pay some of them boys. And so it may come down to a situation where it may be just advantageous to his career, to just, embrace the fact that he's going to have to pay players. And it may be the woman in his life that tells him, because guess what? She can't shop as much if he just walks away from the game. Yeah. There are perks to being the head coach's wife. And she may like that position. I don't know Miss Sweeney from a can of paint, but I know that memberships has its privileges, and people who are members definitely like to keep that membership active. Yeah. And so if it's not active if he becomes a fired coach. Fired coaches are not treated the same as the head coach.
Yeah, I agree, and I think just to close out your point, both of y'all's point, I'm kind of with PJ. I think he might be on his way out of there. They don't, coaches like Dabo Swinney don't get fired. They're gonna say parted ways. They're gonna find a real nice way to say him getting fired. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now. Dabo Swinney's gonna be gone from Clemson, and he's gonna be the next head coach of Texas A&M. So that's where Clemson.
Wow,
that's where Dabo.
They paying people at Texas A&M though.
Jimbo Fisher $70 million to sit at the crib. So I think Dabo might want to see what that's about. So I think that might be kind of where those things are headed for Clemson. Before we keep talking college football, we're gonna preview some of the games here tonight, folks. I want to thank everybody that's been watching with us. Make sure you guys are going on to Centex Sports TV on YouTube if you want to be able to watch this content, and also Centex Sports Network. If you want to listen to this content 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays, make sure you guys go to CentexSports1.com, or you can also download the Centex Sports One app on the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. Folks, we want to talk a little bit more about some college football. Before we do, I want to talk about a couple headlines I've seen on the internet, like we usually do. Going into today, I seen they had a a post about LeBron. I guess was talking with some people and talked about his Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks in the NFL. Mount Rushmore, you only get 4 slots on here, and I want to get you guys' opinion on it. He's got, it's not a controversial list. He's got Brady on there. He's got Mahomes on there. He's got Montana on there. And he's got Elway on there to round out his 4th spot. Are there any names that you guys could think of that you would have maybe removed off of this list that should be on this list? Or is this list too solid and maybe they just need to add a 5th person on there or something? I mean, I like the list. There's some, there's some other people that could have been added on there. I was just about, PJ, you took the words out of my mouth. I think I might have had to put the sheriff, Mr. Forehead, in there. Peyton Manning might have had to go in there on my Mount Rushmore slot over John Elway. But I ain't mad at Elway. Elway had a really great career. Rocky, you've been watching football longer than me and PJ. I want to get your opinion on this.
So let's so let me go over this. We got Mahomes has 3, right? 3 Super Bowl, played in 4.
Yep.
Joe Montana won 4, right? So we right there. You had Elway played in 5, 1, 2. And who's the other guy again?
Some dude named Tom Brady. Out of
I can't remember that guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember that guy. So when Tom is in there. So I mean, but you got to remember, I think Peyton played in 3, 1, 2.
Yeah.
May have played in 4. I know he played in.
He played in 3. He played in 2 in Denver and 1 in Indianapolis.
Okay. So, I mean, I think that's what kind of drives LeBron's list, the championships.
He played in 2 in Indianapolis.
He played in 2 in Indianapolis because I thought he lost to the Saints.
Yeah, he lost to the Saints.
Yeah. You're right.
So he played in 4, 1, 2.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the list is solid, man. I mean, when I think about quarterbacks, man, they're largely judged by team success. I think sometimes that's unfair to guys. Like if you watch the games, I don't think either one of those guys are better pure passers than Dan Marino. You can say what you want to.
Marino, that's
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, pass for pass, I don't think either of those guys are better than Dan Marino.
I thought about Aaron Rodgers too.
I mean, so I think I just think winning and playing in Super Bowls and winning championships weighs heavily on what a quarterback is looked at. But we all know that those are team championships are team accolades, right?
Sure.
Those are team accolades. Now, don't get me wrong. Tom Brady has all the individual stats as well, so you can't really argue about that. A guy like Joe Montana, he played the game so long ago. A lot of guys have passed him up stats-wise, but he has the 4-for-4 championship deal.
Yeah.
So he gets a lot of credit for that. Plus, he played a style that was pretty appealing, and he played in that West Coast system when it was really developed and became under Walsh. So I just think, those are solid, man. Hey, but I'm not having I'm a different kind of guy, man. I'm not having not one quarterback list without Mike Vick on it. Like that's just me. I'm just gonna go. That's my guy. I'm not, whatever. Because Mike Vick, to me, was a guy who, almost like Steph Curry, he changed the perception of the quarterback position and what it could be, even though he didn't get to take full advantage of what it could be, because they often wanted him to play the game like Peyton Manning. They wanted him to play the game like Tom Brady, believe it or not. But his just, athleticism and explosiveness at the quarterback position was something to behold. There was something, when he came in the game called a Mike Vick experience.
Yeah.
No one ever had the Peyton Manning experience or the Tom Brady experience or the Joe Montana experience. Mike Vick was something incredible. Like, Mike Vick is one of those players, in my opinion, that you have to watch him play the game to truly understand what he was in his heyday. And so just hey, anybody out there who wants to Google Mike Vick stats, there's probably like 10 minutes worth of highlights out there, man, that are,
At least.
that you looking like, oh my freaking God. I mean, your jaw is dropping all the time because he is absolutely killing defenses, and he's like playing the game by himself.
Yeah.
He's like AI with a football.
Literally from the same area. As crazy as that is, from the same area with both of them. And I can't ever disagree with anybody putting Mike Vick on anything. That was my favorite player as a kid, and just absolute cannon as an arm. So I can't disagree with any list that's got Mike Vick on it. PJ, what'd you think about his top 4 Mount Rushmore list?
I mean, I like I said, I would have probably put Peyton Manning in, but
who would you take down though?
When we had
who would you take down?
Who I take off? Probably Elway.
It's only one person you can take
back
off.
In that era, like as far as in the Elway era though, I've always been a fan of Dan Marino. I always feel like nobody passed the ball like Dan Marino did. That's how I've always felt. But I mean, I'm not. I mean, Michael Vick can be in there as well, because I mean, I just remember. You remember Jalen when we had Madden 2007. If you had got the Atlanta Falcons at that time on the game, I wouldn't even want to play.
I think it was 04, the year that he was on the cover.
Was it 04?
Yeah, that's when I started getting cold at Madden.
That was 04?
Yeah, that was 04. He was on the cover, bro.
He was like,
07, he was locked up with like 8 guys.
Yeah. He wouldn't let him out.
Got locked up around that time. Yeah, just got locked up.
Yeah.
Now, it was unfair if you had him back then on Madden, bro. So I always loved Michael Vick, but as far as like on his list, I'm not really against it. I mean, I feel like it's a respectable list. He didn't really go too crazy on it.
You know LeBron gonna get on Google. LeBron ain't watching no football, man. LeBron gonna get right on Google and read the first. He typed in top 4 quarterbacks all time and made a list.
Hey, this is something I want to share with y'all. I want to be vulnerable right now with you guys, man. Black men need to be vulnerable, so I'm gonna be vulnerable right now. There's 2 times I cried in situations related to sports. One was when I was 11, I believe, and the Dallas Cowboys lost to Vince Ferragamo in the NFC Championship. I cried. And the other time I cried is when Mike Vick took that plea deal. Yeah.
No, seriously. Man.
He thought he took that plea deal. And I was like, man.
I think I cried about the Cowboys. I think I was probably 10. I was probably 10 or 11 also. It was when we lost against the Vikings in the playoffs.
when they had old man Favre out there.
Yeah. Brett Favre. We lost against Favre. I was hurt.
That was Romo?
Yeah, that was Romo. Yeah. If you were born after 95, I was born in 95 when they won their last championship. You was born after 95 as a Cowboys fan. It's been a couple seasons that's ended in some tears. Unfortunately, to an NFC North quarterback.
Oh yeah, there's a
hard life, man.
Us Cowboys fans have a really hard life, but we're gonna preview these last few college games. They're coming up, and then we're gonna get into some Cowboy talk.
Yeah. We got some good games coming up this weekend. A couple that I wanted to touch on in particular. One, we'll start with the home team here, man. The Baylor Bears. They looked good. I got a chance to go to the game last week. They looked good against Tarleton State.
Credentials?
Yeah, had a couple credentials in there in the slight VIP, I guess what you would call it. Upstairs, getting to watching.
We got that week to week action, don't we? Yeah. Boy, man, we couldn't get the season pass. We got the week to week credentials.
Yeah, we got to call the promoter and book a section every week. We don't get access. We not big meat. You can't just walk in yet. But so Baylor looked good against Tarleton State. Did what they're supposed to do, honestly. But they've got a huge test this weekend, taking on the top team in the Big 12 as of right now, and Utah. They're going to Utah to play this game. This game is at 2:30. Baylor looked good. DeQuan Finn, it was good to get to see him get out there and get in the offense. It was good to get to see Dave Aranda calling the defense again, and the defense was flying around to the ball. But this is not Tarleton State they got on this Saturday. This is Utah. Definitely a formidable opponent, a team that they had a really good game against last year, but their 28-year-old quarterback, however old he is now, is a ninth-year senior. Quarterback was hurt.
Dude.
He was hurt last year, so he didn't play in that game, and they had a good one. He'll be back this year. And they're playing at 2:30 right now. The line is -14 going for Utah going into this game. So, PJ, we'll start with you, man. You got to see some of them play against Tarleton last week. What do you think about them taking on the Utes this weekend?
The biggest thing that they're going to have to do coming into the game, Utah usually tries to out-physical teams. That's really how they win the game a lot of times. Their defense just be flying around the ball. The trenches for Utah on both sides are always very physical. And on offense, they're just going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball, and then they're going to try to, throw the ball once you put 8 in the box against to try to stop the run. I feel like with Baylor, they have the guys. They just got to be disciplined. It's going to be loud when they go over to Utah. It's going to be real loud. The crowd going to be going crazy. I've seen them play a close game against Utah, and I feel like they could possibly do it again this year, and they could possibly win. It's just all about how disciplined they're going to be. You can't have any stupid flags. Finn is going to have to be really careful with the ball because this past weekend he did throw a few passes that could have been picked. I feel like he could have probably finished the game with maybe like 4 picks possibly. So he has to be really careful with the ball playing against Utah because they're a good enough team. They're going to make you pay. And they have the guys on offense as well to be able to capitalize off of you turning over the ball. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I got Baylor possibly being able to win. I'm not really sure right now. For me, it's 50-50. But I do think that Baylor can possibly go in there and come out with a win. They just have to be very disciplined. I keep saying that because it's that important. They really got to be disciplined when they play against Utah this weekend.
Yeah, discipline is going to be one of the number one things. Rocky, what do you think about this game coming up this weekend?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see the Baylor game this weekend. My question is, does Baylor have enough at quarterback to keep them in the game?
Yeah.
That's like, I'm going to have to go back and watch the replay of the Tarleton game. Mm-hmm. But I want to know, do they have enough at quarterback? And what I mean by that is, can what's his name, DeQuan Finn?
Mm-hmm. DeQuan Finn.
Can he play above the X's and O's? And what I mean by that is, can he take a play call that would normally work for the average quarterback, and then he makes something out of nothing? And how much he can do it? Does he have that kind of ability? Does he? When a free blitzer's coming off the edge, can he do enough to avoid the blitz and then throw a pass downfield? Is he that kind of guy? Are they playing him like that? Or are they trying to play him like a system guy? I saw him in Toledo. He was a dynamic guy, a good runner. I like running quarterbacks. You guys know. Mm-hmm. I think nowadays guys, we're at a time where guys want to use systems to win games instead of using players. And hopefully DeQuan Finn is given an opportunity to help Bears win the game using his athleticism and dynamic abilities. So that's what I won't bet this game because 14 is a lot of points.
It's a lot of points.
And maybe they know something that I don't know about Baylor. I was thinking that this game would be more, if it was a 7-point game, I could take Utah and the 7. I can't take Utah on 14 because, I just don't know enough about either team.
That's the same thing I was thinking. I'm looking at the 14 like, man, I might, before that gets too close there, you might need to jump in on getting on Baylor's side. And I'm maybe jumping in plus 14 on there. But like you said, if DeQuan Finn can be careful with the ball, if Baylor can prove that they can run the ball with efficiency, I got a chance to go to the post-game presser, and Richard Reese, the starting running back, he was asked a question about what percentage of the plays do you think they showed today, even though it was the first game, and he said probably only 40 to 50% of the plays. So he's saying that their coach has got more in the tank in there, and that he's got some more that he can show. And you're gonna need to pull it out this weekend and show just about everything that you got. Taking on a Utah team at Utah that you're a heavy underdog against. So that game will be this weekend against Utah, number 11 team in the nation now, formerly number 14, I think, and now they're number 12, and now they're number 11. Another game right down I-35. That's not going to be played right down I-35, but the other team right down I-35, and number 3, Texas, is going up to Ann Arbor into the Big House to take on number 10, Michigan, the national champions from last year, even though J.J. McCarthy is on the Vikings and Jim Harbaugh is on the Chargers. This team, they're still the national champs. A lot of dudes on this team right now won a national championship last year. They've got the pedigree. They've got the players. Donovan Edwards is a monster at the running back spot. They've got 5 stars coming back. They got new 5 stars in, like Michigan does, in and out every single year, and they're playing at home. Texas is coming into this one with a lot of expectations, especially after the beatdown they put on Colorado State last week, even though we knew they would beat them. But 52-0 is a statement game when you're taking on another D1 school, even if it is a Colorado State. They looked good. Quinn Ewers looked good last week. The defense looked really good. The running back position, they had a lot of questions around Texas running back position because of injuries there. And Jaden Blue and the former Conley cadet Trey Wisner stepped up, and they were able to get it done. And this is going to be a huge test for them because I believe they're going to try to zone in on Quinn Ewers because he's the familiar face there. They don't know much about the running back position, so the running backs are going to need a lot of production this week in order for Texas to get a win in this game. I got Texas in this one, even though they're playing on the road. It's going to be a tough game. They're playing at 11 o'clock too, so I'm not sure why they got the 11 o'clock game. You think they would have moved this back to at least a 2:30 game to make this a little more interesting. But they get the early morning game, the 11 o'clock game, and they'll be out there. I got Texas in this one. Rocky, what do you think about this matchup coming up this weekend?
I definitely got Texas in this game. I just think overall, from a talent standpoint, Texas has the advantage. They have the quarterback advantage, either one of them, Arch Manning or Quinn Ewers. So I just think they come with more than enough to win the game. And to be honest with you, I'm making a serious consideration for taking Texas, and I think they're a 9-point favorite, if I'm not mistaken, 7-point favorite.
Yeah, they got them 7.5 right. Well, on ESPN, bet they got them 7.5.
7.5. So I think I'm gonna take Texas in the 7.5, and hopefully I can take my wife out to dinner later that night.
No, I agree. I was looking at that money line there for Texas because I 7.5 in a game like this on the road, that's kind of tough for me to try to put in there because it could be a field goal win, or you never know with a team like this. PJ, know you're a Texas Longhorns fan. What do you think about this game this weekend?
I got Texas. Really, one of the things, like I say, I've really been saying this really since the offseason. To me, Texas is possibly one of the deepest teams in college football throughout every position almost. So I got them winning this Saturday. I feel like Michigan is going to struggle just because they're not really sure who their quarterback is going to be, really. They say they are, but at the same time, I don't feel like you're going to beat the number 3 team in the nation trying to play 2 quarterbacks at one time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they just said the walk-on's going to start.
Yeah, you see, and it's just I'm not too confident in how they're going to be, running their offense as far as against us. So I really feel like Texas is going to win. And Texas in the trenches, bro, just on the D-line and the offensive line, I feel like they're going to be able to kind of overwhelm Michigan a little bit, definitely on the D-line, and be able to kind of stop their run. We already know Michigan's going to try to run the ball for sure. So I think they're going to kind of stop the run and force them to have to pass. And if you force Michigan to pass, I don't think that they're good enough to beat Texas at doing that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think they have enough honestly, at the quarterback position. We know they always got stout running backs. They got Edwards back there. But like you said, in that trenches, I got Texas winning that battle in the trenches, and that's going to mean a lot if Michigan can't run the ball, because then you're going to make their quarterbacks pass, which they never like to do traditionally outside of J.J. McCarthy playing decent at times last year. So I think Texas just has too much on the outside of the receivers, Isaiah Bond, Ryan Wingo, Jonte Cooks. I think it's just too much Texas, too much talent on Texas, and Texas will pick up the dub. That game is at 11 o'clock on Saturday on Fox, so everybody, I'm sure the whole nation will be tuning in for that one. One more game I want to talk about before we go to a little bit of NFL, before we close out the show here. Once again, thanks everybody for watching with us, whether that's on Centex Sports TV, on YouTube, or on the Centex Sports One app or CentexSports1.com. One more game I want to touch on. We talked about this team a little bit. Colorado Buffs, they got a win against NDSU last week. They're going to be taking on a team that I think is very tough, and a team that I think is almost a sleeper for a lot of people if you haven't been paying attention, in Nebraska Cornhuskers. Last year they played this team, and they were able to come out successful in that one. But this is a different team. Just like Coach Dion can recruit, and I have confidence in his recruiting ability and coaching ability, I got confidence in Matt Rule's coaching ability and his recruiting ability, because he's shown it at now. This is his third school that if they turn around, that he can turn programs around. He did it at Temple at a little bit of a lesser scale, did it at Baylor on a bigger scale, winning a Big 12 title, and now in Nebraska with some guys out there. It's not just some of the things we saw last year from them. They really had really subpar quarterback play last year, and that's going to be a completely different story with the freshman Dylan Raiola coming in there this week to play Colorado. The Patrick Mahomes clone is what they're calling him, since he dresses like him and does his hair like him, which is kind of weird, but does his hair like him and all this kind of stuff. They got the same trainer. He wears 15 like Mahomes. He wears a sleeve like Mahomes. He's got the little funny-looking walk kind of like Mahomes. I don't know if he's trying to make his voice all cringy like Mahomes is, but he probably will try to do that too. But this dude can ball. 19 for 27 last week, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns. They got Isaiah Nayor from he came from Texas, PJ?
Yeah, he came from Texas.
Yeah, Isaiah Nayor looked like a guy out there, receiver, 6 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown last week. And we know Colorado, honestly, their defense struggled last week playing against North Dakota State. This is a better offense coming in this week. This is a better defensive line coming in this week. We saw Shador getting pressured back there, which I have no lack of confidence with Shador against pressure anyway. But seeing them get pressure, and none of those guys are going to the league that are on North Dakota State line. You're playing against some guys now for Nebraska. So this is going to be a big game. I'm still leaning towards Colorado. The spread right now is -7.5 going towards Nebraska. So they think Nebraska is going to come in here and get a win. I'm still leaning towards Colorado. They've got the best player. They've got the best 2 players on the field with Shador and Travis Hunter in this game. Nebraska is on his way. I just think this is a little bit premature, and that Colorado will get him in this one. PJ, what do you think about this Colorado versus Nebraska game? See, do we lose him here? Rocky, I'll let you take over real quick.
Well, real quick. I think this game is this is just a situation where Shador's playing in hostile territory. He's going into a game. This is basically a revenge game. They embarrassed Nebraska last year.
Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest with you, I think this game, as much as I hate to say it, it's going to be played with the same type of ferociousness that Oregon played Colorado with.
Yeah.
And so with that being the case, I don't see a situation where Colorado wins this game. I think Shador plays well. I think the game may be competitive early, but it gets out of hand when Colorado can't stop the run, and at some point, and at some point, once they establish the run, put Colorado behind the chains with that rush, it's going to be over. So I look for it to be at least a 14-point victory for Nebraska.
Okay. PJ, what you thinking about this game coming up, Colorado versus Nebraska, man?
I kind of been a little skeptical about this game, honestly, for the last few days. To be honest, I already was kind of looking because I've been really watching Nebraska during the offseason. They picked up a lot of guys in the transfer portal. Dylan Raiola had been looking good, really, since spring football. I don't know if you watched the spring game.
Yeah, I
did.
did.
He did good. He did good in the spring game. So, yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree with Rocky. I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's going to be close at first, but then eventually they're not going to be able to stop the run. And Nebraska got like two solid running backs. Just outside of the passing game, they can run the ball pretty good. And I think that going against this Colorado defense, who really they don't really look too good to me. Really, just overall, not even in the passing game. You know, you really got to see once they play somebody. And I feel like Nebraska is somebody. Most definitely with Jamal Banks and Isaiah Nayor at outside receiver on both sides, and then they got a really good quarterback now. They got a quarterback now, so that's going to make a difference going up against the Colorado team.
Yeah. It's going to be tough. A lot for Coach Prime to try to overcome and to try to get this. And Vegas is agreeing with you guys. They got Nebraska in this game. Convincingly at this point, really with 7.5. That's showing that they think Nebraska's really got the upper hand in this one. The matchup predictor for ESPN Analytics got 60% going towards Nebraska winning this one. So Colorado coming in, second game of the season already, underdog. So we're looking forward to that one. They get the primetime slot at 6:30. That game will be on NBC. Colorado and Nebraska playing this weekend. So, folks, a lot of good football to look forward to on the college slate this weekend. But as we got about the last 10 minutes of the show here, I want to talk about the NFL season is starting this week. I'm feeling excited. I can feel the juice from the NFL coming on now. And I got to do my fantasy draft last night. And, my team is looking pretty good. So I'm excited for this NFL season coming up. They're going to start the season with the Ravens at the Chiefs this Thursday. So just in a couple days from now, the Ravens at Chiefs. And on Friday, they're trying some new Friday football now, even though we know high school football is king on Fridays. But the Packers and Eagles will be playing each other this Friday as well. A lot of good opening games for this matchup. What are some things that you guys are looking forward to seeing out of this NFL season? Also, we had some breaking news right before the show started, and Trent Williams got his deal restructured. They were able to come to an agreement there. They restructured his deal, gave him some more money on top of the 3 years he had left on his deal, and up to signing bonus to about $50 million. So Trent Williams is happy there. They get the money for Brandon Ayuk as well. So we'll see how this 49ers team does. Can they finally get over the hump? But what are some of the storylines or some of the things you're excited to watch about this NFL season? Rocky, we'll start with you.
Well, as a Cowboys fan, I'm looking at CeeDee Lamb with no preseason. Can he come in at full speed and do what he has done the last couple seasons? Can he come in and be a dominant player? I'm looking at can the Cowboys play with CD and a list of no-name wide receivers, in my opinion, and see can they consistently move the football.
Yeah, that's gonna be big.
I'm really interested, and a lot of you guys probably won't think much of it, but I want to see if Zeke has anything left in the tank. I want to see if Zeke has anything left in the tank, or is he just really Dak Prescott's best friend? You know what I mean? If that's all he is, I'm gonna be disappointed. But hopefully he has some left in the tank, and so those are things that I definitely are looking forward to.
Yeah, I think seeing can CD get it done. I think that's a huge one. Can Dak and CD get it done with less help at the wide receiver spot? And as far as Zeke having something in the tank, I think he got less in the tank than a college gas tank, a gas tank of a college student right now at this time of the year while everybody waiting on that financial aid. I think that's about how much he got left in the tank.
You don't believe him at all, man.
Not even a little bit. I think he gets 40 yards a game, max.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook will be the workhorse, and Rico Dowdell will probably be somewhere behind him. I think Zeke is a good pass blocker. They're going to put him in on third downs to come in the backfield and help his homeboy Dak out to catch some of those blocks and get hit by a couple of those linebackers so Dak does it. PJ, what are some things you're looking forward to seeing out of this NFL season as we get started on Thursday?
Well, I would say outside of course, the Dallas Cowboys and how we're going to look really just on offense and defense, but definitely offense, seeing how CD going to be. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Jets offense this year with Aaron Rodgers coming back, seeing how I really think him and Garrett Wilson are really going to click this year. I think Garrett Wilson, he could possibly have 1,500 to probably 1,700 receiving yards. Definitely if they really hit on all cylinders, I think that they can.
I drafted them, so I hope so.
Yeah, I think they're going to be solid this year. And then I'm really looking forward to seeing the Chicago Bears, not even just on their offense. I really do think that they kind of have a really deep receiving room with Keenan Allen, and they got DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot of guys over there that's
Rome Odunze.
Yeah, Rome Odunze over there. So they looking really good offensively, but defensively they looking good too. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Chicago Bears and then really the Chargers defense.
Yeah, Chargers are an interesting team. They've got obviously Jim Harbaugh coming back to, some people they just think it's the Chargers getting a new coach, but we got a chance to see for a short time what Jim Harbaugh was able to accomplish on the 49ers his last stint in the NFL. So I'm really excited to see what can he do with probably one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL with Justin Herbert. Before we get off of here, folks, I want to get you guys' opinion on these games starting off the week, man. Baltimore versus the Chiefs coming in. Kansas City coming off 2 back-to-back championships, trying to be the first team to three-peat. Baltimore's coming into town. They lost to this team in the AFC Championship 14-10, I believe, in a game that left a lot to be desired by the Ravens, by Lamar Jackson, who's my favorite player in the league, but still left a lot to be desired by him. So he's coming in, new season. Even though he won the MVP last year, I think he knows he has more to prove. What do we think about this Baltimore versus Kansas City game? In this one, I know the Chiefs are the favorite right now. They got the Chiefs -3. I'm leaning more kind of towards the Baltimore side, man. I think Lamar's going to come in on Thursday and get this one done on primetime television. What do you think about this, PJ? We'll start with you on here.
I think the Ravens got them this week. Honestly, I'm excited really to see Lamar Jackson coming into this season. I think he has a lot to prove too, and I feel like he can do it this year. They just got to figure some way to get over the hump. And I feel like going against the Chiefs this early, definitely the first game, this could easily be the AFC Championship again. So I'm excited to see how they're going to look. I'm excited to see Derrick Henry in this offense. I'm kind of want to see how they're going to really just do with him and Lamar Jackson. I feel like they're going to be a dangerous duo. Both of them being able to run the way they do, it's going to be tough for a lot of defenses in the league. And the Chiefs, honestly, I don't think it's going to just be I don't think it's going to really be like just necessarily a blowout or even probably. I got probably the Ravens winning probably about one possession maybe. It's going to be a close game. I just don't think that the Chiefs this early are going to be able to beat the Ravens. They could possibly beat them like they were played again later on. They possibly can, but I think this early probably not. I feel like the Ravens are going to start out strong this year.
No, I agree. Good. I think the Ravens and the Chiefs both have a good chance of being back in that AFC Championship. Rocky, what do you think about this game? First game of the season, Kansas City versus Baltimore.
I'm really looking forward to this game. These probably two of my favorite quarterbacks playing. I'm looking for Lamar to make a case for MVP early this year by coming in the game and being electrifying against Patrick Mahomes on the national stage. And so I really hope Lamar plays well, and then we'll see if later on down the line they'll be able to meet and battle it out and see who is the champion in the AFC.
Yeah. So a lot to look forward to this week, folks. A lot of good college matchups this week. And the NFL is starting this weekend. So this is finally the time of year. I think from here to probably about January, we'll have football every Thursday through Monday. So this is the best time, one of the best times of year for me, especially as a football fan. And I know for all you guys out there as well. I want to thank everybody for watching with us today on the show. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel on YouTube, Centex Sports TV. Also, make sure you guys are downloading that app, CentexSports1.com. You can check us out on Instagram as well at Jalen Gillis. You can see me on Instagram, or you can follow Centex Sports TV and Centex Primetime on Instagram if you want to catch some of the clips and some of the other things from this show. We're getting ready to sign off here today, folks.
I just want to remind everybody at 8 o'clock tonight, we're going to have Week 1 episode of HBCU Coach's Corner on 94.5 HD2 Centex Sports Radio.
Yes, sir. Everybody, make sure you definitely tune into that. I know we got plenty of HBCU fans out there. I am one of them, and we're getting ready for a great football season for HBCU as well. Definitely looking forward to that PV Grambling Classic. I'll be out there, and can't wait to see those two teams and the bands get out there as well against each other. Folks, once again, thanks. We're going to wrap it up here as we get ready. Tomorrow we will be back once again, so make sure you guys are getting ready for that. 5 to 7 p.m. we'll have the play-by-play man from Lake Belton come in and talk about Lake Belton football and Belton football as well. And we'll have some more guests on the show tomorrow. So make sure you guys are getting ready for that. 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays here on Centex Sports Network and also on CBS Sports Radio HD 94.5 as well. We'll see you guys. Have a good evening, and we will see you tomorrow.
CBS Sports Central Texas. KWD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Hood is CBS Sports Central Texas, changing sports radio.